Donald Trump did not respond well to Congressman John Lewis's criticism of him over the course of this weekend, and in typical Trump fashion, he expressed his disfavor of John Lewis via Twitter, saying, Congressman John Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and falling apart, not to mention crime-infested, rather than falsely complaining about the election results. All talk, 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 no action or results. Sad. There's like 17 issues there, of course. I gotta love this guy talking about using the word infested to refer to the crime there. I'm sure he didn't have any ulterior motive in using that word. I'm sure before saying that it's falling apart, he carefully looked at the economic figures of that district, as we will a little bit later on. And then, I'm sure it's on purpose, but calling John Lewis a man who is just talk, 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 and no action, that's difficult, man. That's a difficult case to make there. This is not only a guy who spent years as a political activist doing far more than just talking, including having his skull split open during the crossing of the bridge in Selma. This is also a guy who transitioned from being an activist into an elected official who served for multiple decades. At that point, I don't understand what more action you can have. He's a guy who led a sit-in on the House of Congress last year. That just happened.
Yeah. So I like that you're focusing on that part, because I'm going to focus on the other part, the racist part.
Yes.
So
the infested was definitely racist there.
yeah. No, all of it was racist. When he says that it is littered with crime, wait, how do you know that? Did you attach any sources, do a link? Did any of your, henchmen, officials, whatever you want to call them afterwards, come out and talk to the president and go, actually, the president-elect had done some research on the 5th District in Georgia ahead of time, and this is what he was referring to, and you'll see how the crime rates and the median is much higher, median income is lower, unemployment is higher, et cetera, and this is what he was referring to. No, he didn't do any of that. They didn't do any of that. The reason that Trump referred to crime and infestation is because John Lewis is black. And that's it. That's it. So now, look, the Trump lovers who are racist, you're never going to convince them, right? They're going to be like, no. All the cities with the blacks are all crime infested anyway. Trump is right. What do you mean I'm racist? What do you mean? But hey, what do you mean all the cities are? Don't the cities vary? I don't care. They're full of blacks. Yeah. I got it, dude. I got it. You're a racist. Look, I'm moving on past you, right? Liberals generally understand what I'm saying. African Americans certainly understand those words that are not. I can't even call them code words. They're not. It's not a dog whistle. It's a human whistle. We can all hear it.
They are code words, but being used to activate in the minds of racists exactly the image they want.
So what I want you to, who I want to speak to here are the folks in the middle, and there are some people in the middle, right? Who go, wait, now, guys, are you sure? How do you know that he's specifically being racist there? How do you know that he said it just because the congressman is black? And we're going to show you now what the reality of the district is. But I want you to think about, like, do you think Trump did research on the district? Do you think that's why he talked about the crime and all those things? And do you think it had nothing to do with the fact that John Lewis is black? That if it was a random white congressman in the middle of Kansas, that he would be like, oh, your area is horrible and crime infested. Yeah. He did research on, he didn't do research on Kansas or Atlanta. He doesn't know, right? So why do you think he picked John Lewis and decided to attack his district? Yeah. Now, they're having a beef, I get that. But if he was having a beef with a guy from, any suburban area, Rhode Island, Hawaii, do you think he would have said that?
I don't think so.
You know he wouldn't have said it. You know it in your heart.
Yeah. I do want to give Trump a little bit of credit, because those tweets that we just read came a little bit later on in the morning. Earlier, he tweeted, Congressman John Lewis should finally focus on the burning and crime-infested inner cities of the U.S. I can use all the help I can get. So the flames were put out between 4:22 and 4:50. So that is good news for us. And look, we understand what's going on. I don't even know whether he thinks that all inner cities that's where all the black people live and that's where all the crime is. But he knows that the white viewers of his tweets think that. And so he's saying this for their benefit. And if you have any doubt about his views of African Americans and all of that, have him respond to a question involving African American interests, African American politicians, anything. He will instantly begin talking about the inner city, because in Donald Trump's world, or at least the world he wants you to think about, If it's a black person we're talking about, they live in the inner city. That is the only existence they're allowed in his worldview.
And I look, sometimes we give Trump way too much credit. Like, he's actually trying to appeal to the racist electorate that's his base, and that's why he's doing it. Not that he himself is he's a racist.
Oh, I think it's both.
He's an absolutely, positively racist guy. This is yet another evidence. I mean, when challenging Obama, he asked for his birth certificate. Now, look, that in and of itself is racist. They never asked John McCain. They never asked Bernie Sanders. They never asked Hillary Clinton. You know why they asked Obama. Okay, but put that aside. To me, the thing that was even more so clear was he asked for Obama's transcript from Columbia. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you? Nobody's ever asked for a college transcript in the over 20 years I've been covering politics. You ask for a college transcript, is like, oh, that black guy really got good grades at Columbia and got into Harvard Law School? Come on, that black guy did? Yeah. How come hey, Donald Trump, where's your goddamn grades? Your daddy got you into Penn. You're a national embarrassment. Where's your goddamn grades? Yeah. But nobody ever asked for Trump's grades because he's white. Yeah, look.
Well, he also said in 2014, the end of 2014, he tweeted out that because President Obama was such a failure, we won't see another black president for generations. Sad. Well, because of course, the only reason people voted for him was because he was black, and since black presidents are now a failure, why would anyone ever vote for another one again? That same standard is applied to white and Asian and Hispanic politicians.
So let's go to the 5th District of Georgia and tell you what.
So let's jump. We're going to jump to graphic 7 here, and you're going to see a little comparison put together by PolitiFact of some of the key economic figures there. After all, this is a burning Mad Maxian wasteland, and you're seeing there that back in 2015, the unemployment rate was a little bit higher than the state average and the national average, although it's certainly not through the roof. The median household income very slightly less than the state average. We're talking about 1.5% there or so, and that is lower than the national average, although that's Georgia. I mean, Georgia's income is lower. You're seeing the poverty rate is only 0.3% higher, and this is Atlanta being compared to the rest of Georgia, which is largely rural. You're seeing their percent with high school degree is actually higher than both the state and national average. And the percent with bachelor's degrees, again, this shouldn't be any surprise since this is Atlanta and a lot of professionals live there, the percentage who have finished college is way higher than the state and national average. It's not Oliver Twist in that 5th District of Atlanta there. It has some bad areas, which are pockets of poverty, and it has some amazing areas, which we're going to show you shortly. It's not a burning wasteland.
So generally in the cities, and not related to whether they're black or white cities, whether it's Miami with Latinos or blacks in Atlanta or whites in Kansas City, the cities have higher concentration of smaller apartments, poverty, et cetera. So they score less on median income, unemployment, et cetera, than usually the rest of their states or the national averages. In this case, the numbers are not that bad. So again, as John pointed out, education is much better than the state average and the national average. Yeah. In another year that I saw, the household income in the 5th District was higher than Georgia's median income, right? So it varies year to year. So this is the crime-infested, horrible, quote, horrible district that John Lewis, that's burning down, that John Lewis is representing. So if it isn't backed up by the numbers, why do you think Trump said it?
That's weird. Now, well, look, I'm going to be honest. I've never been to Atlanta. My brother lives in Atlanta. I never actually lived there, so I don't know exactly what it looks like. Maybe it is on fire. Let's take a look at a video that was shot and submitted in response to this feud. Fifth District of Georgia.
Wow.
I didn't see a single flame.
Yeah, that place looks super dangerous to me.
They probably have fireworks from time to time, I would imagine. That's going to sound dangerous at least. And if you can just put up a couple of these just really fast, we'll go through them in a few seconds each. You're going to see shots of Atlanta.
These are people from Atlanta saying this is apparently, quote unquote, the crime infested and, quote, horrible shape that Atlanta's in. And other individuals putting up their pictures of their neighborhoods, and the list goes on and on.
You will never see a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than Atlanta.
And again, some of the top schools in the country are in his district. and
Emory and Morehouse, I think, are in his
some-
district.
and some wealthy suburbs as well. Trump, of course, didn't look into it. And finally, this is why the mainstream media drives all of us crazy. I normally never watch them, but I happen to have CNN on for 5 minutes at some point this weekend when they were discussing this. So Jake Tapper does a segment. He does the tweets back and forth, gives no context whatsoever. And instead of actually going to the statistics like we just did to show you whether it is in fact in horrible shape or relatively decent shape, he goes to Rand Paul, who's a Republican senator, and then asks him, okay, is it in horrible shape or not? But Rand Paul doesn't know.
Rand Paul doesn't live there?
He's from Kentucky, and he doesn't have any of the stats. But CNN and the mainstream media views it as, well, everything's a he said, she said. Trump says it's horrible. John Lewis says it's not horrible. Oh, look, we brought out Rand Paul, who says, well, Trump overstates it a little bit, but generally he's right. Okay, I've done my job. No, you've done a miserable, miserable failure of a job as always, because you didn't actually inform anyone. How is the district? And of course, did they ever mention why Donald Trump might have actually tweeted that if he has no research to back it up? No, that would be so unfair to Trump, and all of his voters would cry and cry and cry if you suggested the reality of why he did that.
Yeah.
And it's because Donald Trump is clearly a racist. If you want to see this happen, donate $3, $20, $27, whatever you can afford. You know that if everybody that's watching this video donated right now, we could stop the fundraising because we'd have enough. So go to tytnetwork.com/go. We'll wait while you make the donation. Thank you for doing it and for building a great new journalism team. And thanks for watching.